Is the Sony A7S III still worth it? Huh. Hey Tyler, let's show the people what you can do.
Or do you want this
like 1 or 2 seconds, give it a beat, and after that go around and do your orbit shots. Let's go, Super Tyler! Oh yes, that's it. That's the shot, dude. Oh, that's epic. Oh, dude. All right, so the plan is Tyler's gonna do a reveal shot by going from behind the glass. Oh, by the way, those shoes, they're brand new from Adams. It's a new 251. Huge shout out to Adams for sending over those shoes to me. Thank you, Marquez. And yeah, let's talk about the A7S III. Hi, okay, so if you don't already know, this is Tyler. He's been shooting B-roll stuff for me for the past few years, or ever since I moved. He actually reached out on Instagram.
I did.
But he shot that sequence with the A7S III, and you haven't upgraded your camera since, right? When did you get this camera?
I think it was 2020?
2020.
Was it?
Maybe before that.
Maybe. 2019, maybe?
Something like that.
It was before the FX3 came out.
Yeah.
Like
so,
right before that.
So that's been your main camera.
It has.
And why haven't you upgraded?
Well, cameras are expensive, first off. So
very expensive.
Upgrading a camera costs a lot of money. And this does just about everything that I need it to do. I mean, for me, if I were to upgrade a camera to, let's say, the FX3, for example, the main benefit would be the top handle for like XLR input. And like, that's kind of, I mean, it's the same sensor.
Yeah, same sensor.
There's not a huge upside for me.
Yeah.
Maybe some like ease of use stuff, because that's like a film camera.
Yeah.
But I can take some pictures too, which is cool.
You can, you totally can. And for me, I've like gone through so many different Sony cameras, mainly because I like exploring new cameras just to see what they can do. So I had the A7S III, I went over to the A7R V, now I have the A7C Mark II and the Sony FX3. And I love all the cool features that is in the A7C II, like the AI processor is really nice. Does AI like at all intrigue you in terms of camera?
Not really. I mean, it's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I think it makes a lot of sense if you're shooting tons of photos.
Yeah.
Because the autofocus is super important, especially if you're shooting like in like a crowd or whatever, you know. For video, just the autofocus on this is like almost perfect.
Yeah.
Like I almost never have an issue with it.
Yeah.
And if I do, like, I'll just swap to manual and do it myself.
Yeah.
Like, I should probably be doing that anyways. So yeah, it just works.
I remember taking the A7S III to New York, doing some videos and photos, and I took a photo of my friend Dunna, and he told me like that was one of his favorite photos ever, and it looked really sharp. Even though it took a 12 megapixel photo, it doesn't matter. I had the right lens. I think it was a 24-70 at the time. The lighting was right, the composition was right, and it turned out to be a really good photo.
I mean, realistically, like, most of these photos are going to be viewed on a phone. And how big is your phone screen?
That's true.
You know, like, the cropping on like more megapixels is great.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm just taking some photos to like post on Instagram, this is perfect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
It's great.
Okay, so what would you say to those thinking about maybe upgrading their A7S III, or maybe they don't have a camera at all and they're kind of looking at an A7S III? Like, what are some, I guess, selling points for them to buy that camera, the A7S III?
I think the spec sheet kind of speaks for itself, so I'm not going to like rattle off a bunch of numbers. But it's comparable to anything coming out today, honestly.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think there's something to be said for grabbing the tool that is like it hits all the minimum specs that you need, and then just really getting to know that tool. Like, I've had this camera for so long, I don't have to think about where anything is.
Like memorize.
It's set up exact. I know the sensor. Like, I've gotten to like know this camera because I've like had enough time with it. So I think if you're always like hunting for a new camera and like switching it out, unless you're like really diving into each one and dedicating your time, like there's something to be said for like just sticking with a tool and getting to know the tool really well.
Totally agree. Sometimes, admittedly, I do miss having an A7S III as like a one-and-all camera, because it really is a great hybrid camera.
Also, the price on these used has come down so much.
Oh yeah, it's
like
a good
if
deal.
you don't have a camera and you want a camera like this, like it's so cheap now in comparison to when it came out, which is great.
Yeah. So the rule is like wait 4 or 5 years after our camera launches, then buy it at a discount.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about the sequence that we just shot. Now, you and I have worked together for a while, so you kind of know exactly what kind of shots I like. What works for you as a videographer in terms of like working with the director, getting the shots that you both are happy with?
I don't know if I know how to answer that.
I would say communication. I think for me as, I guess, the director, just I try my best to give you clear and simple directions.
Yeah.
I hope I do.
Simplicity is good.
Simplicity?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think if you like rattle off a bunch of direction, it can kind of get lost in translation.
Yeah.
So I think like conveying your idea, but as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Like the clarity of that communication is really helpful.
Yeah. And let's talk gear now. So with the A7S III, you have the small rig cage, and then you use that to put on your Ronin Pro, right?
Yeah. And like a top handle if I'm doing handheld.
Is
I
it the
just bought
Pro?
this pretty recently.
Is it the Ronin Pro? What's it called? What's it called? What gimbal is it? It's a Ronin.
RS4 Pro?
It's the Ronin RS4. What did I say?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Names are not important.
There's so many, just like cameras, there's so many gimbals out there.
Yeah,
I'm forgetting.
for sure.
So you have a cage on the A7S III. You put that
Yes.
on your Ronin. What are some limitations like when working with a camera like the A7S III? Like in the gimbal setup.
Oh, in the gimbal setup? I mean, honestly, I haven't shot with a whole lot of cameras on a gimbal setup.
Yeah.
So I don't run into a whole... It's
Yeah.
nice and light, like
Yeah.
it's small.
Yeah.
I can put whatever lens I want to. I don't run into a lot of like gimbal-related limitations.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to handheld footage, since it's such a portable, light camera, you can get like those micro jitters
Yeah.
doing handheld. So then you got to rig it out a little bit more, add some weight to it just to make the footage come out a little better. But yeah, as far as gimbal stuff, I don't really run into issues relating to the camera.
So in this sequence, what was like the main obstacle getting the shot that I wanted, if there was any?
I mean, we ran into one issue, but that was more gimbal related, and that was just the low to the ground shot. This gimbal is really new to me, so I was kind of like, one of the motors was jittering, and I was like, this doesn't look right, and I know I'm doing my job, so why aren't you doing your job? But then we figured it out and just flipped it upside down.
All
It was great.
autofocus?
The shot with this window thing.
Oh,
where
yeah,
we,
yeah,
like,
the reveal
panned
shot,
out,
yeah,
I
yeah.
did that in manual focus.
Manual focus, right.
The rest was auto.
Got it, because there was a foreground.
Yeah.
And then there was okay. From what I saw, the footage looked really cool. Hopefully you like...
We'll see. We only
hopefully
saw
you
it
like
on
the
this tiny
sequence.
screen. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
But it turned out really well. But yeah, the A7S III still kicks butt. And so if you still have the camera and you're thinking about upgrading, honestly, just keep your A7S III. I've used a lot of Sony cameras since then, and they're all kind of the same, not gonna lie. You know, I mean, I love Sony products, but they all kind of do the same thing that the A7S III does. They have maybe some AI features and, you know, a couple of cool new quirks, but other than that, it's pretty much a reiteration of the A7S III.
I think also, if you're looking online and finding videos that are like super inspiring and you're like, oh my gosh, I want my footage to look like this, it's probably not the camera. Like, it's probably lighting and composition, honestly. Like, those are the two.
I'm doing that meme.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. If you have a camera like this and you have money burning a hole in your pocket, maybe buy some lights instead.
What's it? Wise words to the wise.
Wise word wisdom.
Wise words wisdom. Anyway, yeah, I just want to make a video talking about the A7S III. Is it still worth it in 2024, 2025? Yes, of course. And now that it's at a discount, it's definitely well worth it. Also, if you're in the DFW area, like, definitely go hire this guy. Tyler is amazing to work with. I'll put his info down in the video description below. Any last words?
Thank you for watching this. I don't know.
Thank
I said all I gotta say.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.